Hello, this is Adam Watson, and today I'm going to be talking and giving a short introduction to the idea of Google Drive in general, but really, to be honest, more specifically about Google Forms and the power of Google Forms. First off, the first step is that you need to make sure that you are actually logged into your Google account. If you have not already created a Google account, you can do so by creating a Gmail account, which by its nature, not only will you have the email, but you will also have the turnkey to all the other Google products like YouTube, Google Drive, and so on. Or you can use an existing email. Many people, for example, use their school email address, and as they register for a Google account, that's the email address and information they give. For the sake of this particular video, let's just assume that that process has already happened, and you're logged in when your little icon is over here in the top right, and your name for your Google Plus account is probably showing up as well. So, in my case, watsonedtech at Gmail is my particular Gmail account and the one that I use for all of my Google Drive needs. Once you have created that, you're actually gone into your Google Drive account, which is an app. If you click on these little squares, Google Drive is where you want to go. Once you get there, you want to realize a couple of things. First off, the great thing about Google Drive in general is that it's always online, in the sense that it's always saving in the background. It's cloud-based, of course. Wherever you're logging into the internet, you can get to, and that's a great thing. There are some options, again, that I won't go into in this particular video, as far as if you were offline. There's possibilities to make certain documents and then upload them when you get the opportunity. But the power of Google Drive is mainly the fact that it's an online system. When you're ready to create a document, it's this new button that you want to worry about, and by clicking on it, it gives you some options like making a new folder, uploading a file to your Google Drive, and so on. The first three options it shows you is the Google products that are equivalent to Microsoft Word products. So, for example, Google Docs, Microsoft Word. Google Sheets would be equivalent to Microsoft Excel. Google Slides is their version of Microsoft PowerPoint. But for the purpose of today's video, we're going to skip to the More section and go to Google Forms, which is something that's unique to Google and a pretty powerful tool. So when we're ready to make our new Google form, we're going to click on that here. And here is the basis of what it looks like as far as for your Google form. A couple things to point out. As far as up here, we can do various things like check on our responses, which I'll get to in a second. But the main thing that I want to point out, as far as you can change the form name here, not only as far as for the document itself, but this is also going to be changing the title, so what the person sees when they see the form. When a Google form is created, by an automatic default, a Google Sheet, a spreadsheet, is automatically created and tied to that Google form. Both the form and the sheet that's tied to it with the responses, which is basically the same title as your form except with responses and parentheses at the end, will be tied together in the same location that you made the Google form in. So the sheet and the connection is basically the spreadsheet's ready to receive all the different data of the people that use your Google form and submit information. Also, that Google Sheet is something that you can share, so that if you want others to be able to see that Google Sheet, you can. Although by default, it's going to be private and only set that you can see it. As far as responses, that's the last thing I wanted to show real quick in this particular video. Here you can view responses, and it's going to ask you for a name. I'm going to call this example Google form. Okay, you can see that it's setting up the spreadsheet there. And right now, this spreadsheet, example Google form in parentheses responses, there's nothing in there. No one's entered anything. But I do want to point out right here that all the responses are time-stamped, and I really love that feature. It's just a default given for collecting information through Google Forms. That you're automatically going to see the day and the time of when those responses came in. You don't have to ask that as a special question. I'm going to exit out of that and go back to my Google form and go back up here to responses. Notice that you can do things like, for example, right now by default it's accepting responses. However, if for whatever reason that helps me, perhaps I want to turn off those responses. Perhaps there's a deadline that I self-impose, and then after that I don't want to take any more answers, for example. I can turn that off. The summary of responses is a graphic ability that automatically pie charts and creates bar graphs and so on for you of the different responses that they come in. If it's a lot of responses, this tends to get a little cluttery in some parts, because anything that's an open response kind of answer, well, it's going to be a lot of information there that you can't really bar graph. But if it's a multiple choice question or some sort of question like that, it is a nice visual way of quickly seeing the overall summary of those responses. Of course, that's separate from the spreadsheet itself, which you can see in just spreadsheet form as far as each individual answer. You can also change the response destination. And one of the things that's important about that is that, and sometimes I think this is just for good protocol, if I've done a lot of edits back and forth as far as changing the questions and so on, perhaps I've done a sample example to make sure that I got the answer to go through. What I might want to do is just start from fresh. So I would delete that Google Sheet from my Google Drive, and then I would change the response to destination is where I would go to change and make a new spreadsheet and create that up. So it's a nice clean sheet. Again, this is something that I often, because it automatically gets generated as soon as your Google form is created, I often delete my spreadsheet, and then when I know I have all the questions exactly the way that I like them, I create the new, change the response destination, and then I go here to create a new spreadsheet so that it's fresh, ready with all of my questions as I have them, just so nothing gets lost. But for right now, I'm going to cancel that out. And that is the basis and the beginning of what the Google form looks like. In the next video, I'll go into some of the editing functions of the form itself.